Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Grid Live Encore. I'm Ben Schneider, joined as always by our Xfinity Series analyst, Brandon Crossland, our ARCA analyst, Casey Campbell, back from Toledo. And welcome back, Joshua Birch, as well. I know it was a very busy week for you, especially with all the delays in Japan and everything, and some late nights, early mornings. We will get to you in just a moment. But before we jump into that and give Josh a chance to react to the F1 race, since he wasn't on the wrap-up show yesterday, I want to turn it over to Casey first. His ARCA coverage will be coming a little bit later in the show, but Casey, I understand you have a couple of Indy Lights pieces to discuss with us.
Yeah, I do. First off, thank you. We'll get to all the fun stuff I did this weekend in a little bit. But yeah, before we get to the Indy Lights news, we have some USF 2000 news to also talk about as well. Loki Hughes, I hope I said that right, from J. Howard Driver Development. He will be moving up to the USF 2000 series. He's the current point leader in the F4 Championship Series, which is part of his SCCA as part of that. Of course, Trans Am's a part of that as well. So he'll be jumping up. Also, if you watched USF Juniors this year, Nikita Johnson will be moving up with Referral Velocity Racing Development. Of course, that's owned by Dan Mitchell. So he will be in USF 2000. If you haven't been following Indy Lights news, there are 3 drivers confirmed, 3 more drivers confirmed to HMD. Of course, Daniel Frost, Christian Bogle, and Josh Green were already confirmed. Nolan Siegel, of course, who drove in Indy Pro 2000, also drove in Indy Lights at Laguna Seca for HMD. He will be driving for them this year. He was the 4th driver confirmed. The 5th driver confirmed was a little bit of a surprise. Christian Rasmussen jumps from Andretti Autosport to HMD for 2023. So that's jumping teams a little bit. We're going to be, we might be talking to him pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. And the 6th driver was confirmed today. Kiffin Simpson, of course, the Chip Ganassi Racing development driver. He'll be driving with HMD in 2023. Remember, there will be 8 drivers driving for that team this year. So, yeah, fun stuff. Lots of interesting things to talk about in the world of in the road to Indy. And we'll obviously discuss more of that in the offseason with the Chris Griffiths test coming up.
Yeah, and well, I see we got a very active chat room already. So hello to Adam, Amber, Josh, and A Day in My Life. Everybody in the chat room, we've got a couple of questions coming in. I'll start with Amber here with no W series at Chadwick for sure going to Indy Lights. I think I'll leave that for Josh now as we're going to talk about the W series, obviously in the news today.
Yeah, maybe I heard there's definitely been some chatter. Stay tuned.
For sure. Yep. And A Day in My Life asking why did he switch from Andretti to HMD? Do we have any insider info on that, or we just
we'll be asking Christian. Actually, Christian just emailed me today about a potential interview, so we will ask him that maybe in the next few days. So we'll see.
That sounds good. Well, let's bring Joshua Birch back in here now. And Josh, I want to give you the chance. First, I guess we'll start with Formula One, especially since you weren't on the wrap-up show today. We all had a lot to say about the controversy with not just the tractor and Pierre Gasly's fiery comments on the radio and in the post-race with how he felt about the situation and some other drivers as well. but also we were fearful we might get a repeat of Spa last year, and we all remember how we felt about that. So what was your take on all the chaos we saw at Suzuka this weekend?
Like many motorsport fans, just glad the weekend ended, to be fair. It was a bit of a nightmare day. I mean, it started off pretty much okay on Sunday morning as well. About 90 minutes before the start of the race, it was dry. Nothing was raining. Then about 60 minutes before the race, it started light rain. And then about half an hour before the start of the race, it just bucketed it down. And we all thought, okay, we're in trouble now. We went into the start procedure and we thought, okay, we're going to get a standing start. That's good. We thought, okay, maybe the conditions aren't as bad as what we've been seeing. They left on the formation lap and everyone was thinking, intermediate tyres? Are you idiots? Then the race started. Our YouTube stream cut out at lights out, and we missed the whole first 3 laps with the red flag procedure and everything. USRN, thankfully, was still broadcasting, so our commentary was still going out there. We then faked the start underneath the red flag period on the YouTube once we got it back, and I put the original start from USRN back onto YouTube today as well. So it's not lost to the history books, but that was a nightmare in the broadcasting. Then just after that, we sat around for 2 hours, not knowing what was going to happen. They attempted to restart the race, but then the rain just came even heavier and they had to abort that. Then we went into the procedure where it's a 2-hour race inside a 3-hour window, and we used up the first hour under the red flag. So the timer then began ticking down for the race clock of 2 hours. We originally got going then with 48 minutes to go. We spent 8 minutes under the safety car, which meant it was a 40-minute plus 1 lap race. Very dramatic, great stuff as well throughout as well. Great overtakes from the likes of Alonso and Vettel, side by side at the line. I thought Ocon did a mighty job defending from Hamilton as well. And then the FIA, not knowing their own rules, because they put the checkered flag out a lap early, because Verstappen crossed the line with 2 seconds to go. So at the end of that lap, we got the checkered flag. It should have been the following lap. That's the rules as well. So they broke that. And then we had them the TV coverage missing Verstappen crossing the line and taking the race win. Luckily, I knew what was going on, and I called it in the race. And then we had the strange situation of Perez cutting across the track. I knew immediately it'd be a 5-second penalty, because that's what Vettel got in Canada in 2019. Pretty much the same situation. And then we worked out, Megan was completely on it in the commentary box, and she worked out the fact that even if we were going on these ridiculous point systems as well, where because we'd just gone over 50% of the race winner could have 19 points, Megan worked out that Verstappen would be champion anyway. But we also had the inkling up in the commentary box as well, way before anybody else did, that it was a full points race, because we saw the graphic on the screen. So Megan worked out if it was full points, Verstappen was 100% the champion. So we got the jump on that. And then it was announced that he was the champion. That's F1, F2, F3, and W Series now, all announcing their champions when not on the racetrack. 3 of them in the pit lane and 1 of them off on a Monday morning. So very, very bad year for the sport. We've got no sound bites to use at all for world champions. We're going to have to invent some as well, which I don't like. And it was a very dark day for Formula One, because it was the day that nobody knew the rules. And this whole thing with the FIA tractor was your first point, Ben, as well. The tractor was released onto the circuit when the safety car was still out. I've seen the video, I retweeted it, and I know the tweet's been deleted, but the video's still out there. As the fact is that the tractor got sent out, the entire field behind the safety car then passed that tractor at the same speed as Gasly, at quite high speeds. They didn't slow down. And then it was a very shocking thing to me that the tractor was sort of moving into the path of the drivers. I mean, I am firmly believe that, like we see in NASCAR and IndyCar, the AMR safety crew has the big lights on the top. They're very visible to drivers as well in all conditions. as well. I think we need something now for that in Formula One, because Gasly, you could barely see the recovery truck on the onboard camera, and the visibility is much less in driver's eye. So I am annoyed and I am frustrated, because it was this circuit 8 years ago, not even a week has passed since that date as well, when we had the anniversary and we remember Jules' crash. That something similar very nearly happened again. They're investigating it, but it didn't stop them blaming Pierre Gasly and giving him a drive-through penalty, ruining his race. That's not fair. I think the FIA made a big drop of the ball yesterday, and it's what should have been a celebration of Max Verstappen being a two-time champion. It's become another farce yet again of the FIA for the third race running. And Dane Life says the FIA is still investigating Pierre Gasly for 2 fouls under the red flag. That they've given him a drive-through penalty equivalent to a 30-second time penalty post-race. So he's dropped down out of any positions as well. He's now last overall. But they are investigating why that tractor was put onto the circuit as well. But it was a very dark day for Formula One, and once again, Max Verstappen is world champion due to the FIA not knowing the rule book. And I mean, I feel sorry for the guy. Would he ever win a world championship without people saying it was controversial? It's not fair on him. He's led the championship throughout the season. He's had a great domination. He is the world champion, and there's nothing controversial about it.
Well, of course, like we've been saying, it was only a matter of time before he officially clinched it. I do want to ask, I know we got some news on the cost cap today, which we've been tracking as well. I'm hearing rumors that the situation where Red Bull went over, or the department, I guess you could say, it has to do with catering and kind of team well-being rather than car performance. Is that what you're...
I heard that. Yeah, don't worry, Ben. I did hear that as well. Apparently, they're trying to pass it off as catering. But let me tell you something right now, from everyone that I've talked to, it's not catering, because it was comically known that Red Bull had the worst catering of anybody in Formula One. That's why I always say in the commentary about Yuki Tsunoda, who is a great food lover. He goes to other hospitalities to eat because Red Bull have the worst catering in Formula One. So that's why everybody who I've spoken to today has gone, it did not go on the catering. There's a photo going around as well of what the catering looked like in Brazil last year. And it's literally 2 smiley faces, a sausage and 2 eggs. That's all Alexander Albon had last year. Red Bull had the worst catering in the paddock. It did not go there, I can tell you that right now. The rumour is it has gone on car development, mainly on parts as well for last year's championship, and also on a development for 2022. So they've got a big leap as well. So it's rumoured to be 5.7 million extra they've spent in the cost cap, which, as Martin Brundle said as well, is equivalent to a B car for many teams as well. So because it's only a minor breach and they've done it, Aston Martin have been completely clear with it. It was just a little error with documentation, we understand, for Aston Martin, so they're fine. But Red Bull have breached this cost cap by over 5 million. They are going to have something, a penalty given to them in the next couple of days. We'll find out what it is, but from what I'm understanding, it should not change last year's championship. So Max Verstappen is the 2021 world champion and the 2022 world champion. But I do feel sorry for him right now, because he won both of them fair and square. And it's just so hard to get people to view him as a world champion, because the FIA keep making so many blunders. It's getting a bit ridiculous now. And I do feel that the FIA are heading into another dark time because of the mistakes they keep on making. It's getting comical now.
I can only imagine F1 Twitter if Red Bull were stripped of their championships because of catering costs, and that's how Lewis Hamilton gets his 8th world title. That would be, I don't even want to think about where Twitter would go with that one. But Josh, we appreciate the updates, and of course we echo a lot of your sentiments. Obviously, what happened with Gasly and the tractor is absolutely inexcusable, particularly at Suzuka of all places. And I know I said the same thing on the wrap-up show yesterday, as did Joe and Kobe. So we are certainly hoping and praying that they take a look at that and make sure that a situation like that never happens again, because I'm sure it brought back a lot of bad memories. I know it brought back a lot of bad memories for Jules Bianchi's father, who we saw his Instagram post as well. So that was, pretty sad to see. But hopefully some regulations can be brought into place to prevent that from happening again.
from what I've been told as well, it is now going to be a situation where they have to bring things like that onto the track as well. It looks like we would be going to a full safety car period, but it would be that nothing goes on the track until the safety car has passed them as well. And if it takes longer than one lap to get the car out of the way, we'll go to a red flag procedure. So that's something that we're going to look into now as well, having more red flags to make sure everything is safe, which I'm happy with. That's a 10-minute delay. I'm fine with 10 minutes. But yeah. Anyway, we've got more to talk about in this little segment as well, because you said W Series and the BDC finishing off as well.
Of course. Well, and Josh T here saying Twitter has already exploded. I saw actually on the trending tab it wasn't even just NASCAR. It was NASCAR Twitter trending yesterday after the ROVAL race. So I was kind of scared to click on that. I hope everybody's behaving themselves. Man, I don't know. Twitter can be a nightmare sometimes, no matter what is going on in this world. But even more of a nightmare, arguably, the W Series announcing today that not only are they cutting the season short, the season is over immediately. We thought they might make it to COTA. That's not going to happen. Jamie Chadwick obviously was already the champion-elect with the season that she has had. But Josh, I just want to get your reaction to the news that W Series is coming to an end prematurely, trying to reorganize for 2023, but there have been plenty of series that have said we're taking the offseason to reorganize and come back, and then haven't come back. I'm thinking IROC. I'm thinking Global Rallycross. Is W Series in that much trouble here?
Yes, I think it is actually, because they had a major sponsor that hasn't come in to pay the drivers and the teams and all that lot, so they're losing money. They've decided not to do the remainder of the season as well to try and save a 2023 campaign. But let's not forget, this is a W Series that raced in 2019 for its first season, took the COVID year off, and has come back in 21 and 22 on the F1 package and has struggled. It hasn't found a right place yet as well. I thought it was brilliant this year that they put it in between practice 3 and qualifying. It gave us something to watch in between those sessions. But I'm disappointed that the championships had to end this way. We don't know who's. Amber says, which sponsor do we know? We don't know. They've been very respectful that they haven't actually said who it is. So maybe Daniel's got more news on that for Women in Motorsport as well, in the midweek show with him and Joe as well. Adam says, sad to hear about W Series. Yeah, and Megan, who commentates on it as well as lead comms on our channel, she's disappointed as well, actually, because she never got to call Jamie as the champion. So we're doing a special show, actually, talking about all this as well in the coming days because of all the W Series and talking about all the championship as well. And it's a sad, sad time because W Series could have been something great and it's just failing. It is failing miserably. And I'm sad we don't get the last 2 races as well. In COTA and in Mexico. Well, 3 races, 2 rounds, 3 races, because Mexico was a double header. And I think next year, if it does come back, it needs to be European only. That's the only way it can survive. But I think it was crucial as well that Jamie was awarded the championship because she's won it 3 times now. 3 seasons done. She's won it 3 times. She needs to move on, and hopefully Indy Lights is the way she's going as well. We know W Series is champion for sure going for Indy Lights. Yeah, looks that way that she's going to go to Indy Lights next season, and she's going to try and get into IndyCar for 2024, I understand as well. But maybe that would just be for an Indy 500 entry. I'm not too sure. But Jamie's trying that route as well, as Williams continue to back her as a development driver as well. But that's it for the W Series news that I've got.
Josh, just real quick before we get into BTCC on the subject of Williams, Nick DeFries confirmed at AlphaTauri this year with Pierre Gasly moving to Alpine. That opens up the Williams seat. Obviously, Jamie Chadwick on the path, looks like to Indy Lights and IndyCar, but it's kind of ironic, the Colton Herta deal not being able to get a super license. Did that open up an easier path for another American, Logan Sargent, to maybe be on the grid? It looks like he's going to stay in the top 5 and have enough super license points. Is he the top candidate now for that Williams seat?
From what I understand, it's a done deal. It would be Alexander Albon and Logan Sargent next year in the seat because Sargent's the only one who realistically could move up. It was going to be Nick DeFries, but Nick's gone over to AlphaTauri. So the only other driver they've got to fill the boots, unless Mick Schumacher managed to get a deal. But as I spoke to Kobe on Saturday, because it was the Japanese Grand Prix, I was able to have information during the night and the day. So I was busier than ever. From what I understand, Mick Schumacher is going to sign a year's deal at Haas as well, then leave and go to Sauber in 2024. That's the Alfa Romeo team who will become Sauber once again. He's going to join them, ready for Audi's entry in 2026 to become their main driver as well. German entry, German driver, makes sense. And with that, because Schumacher's going to stay at Haas, I'm understanding as well that Logan Sargent is going to be at Williams next year as well. And I think it's a very, very good deal. He is an American driver, and arguably he's done it the correct way. He's gone through F3, gone through F2, gone into F1. I think it would have been wrong for Colton Herta to sort of been parachuted in from a different series as well, in spite of Logan Sargent. Because Sargent is a fantastic driver and a great racer. We talked about him a lot this year on the Encore show with the F2s. So I'm glad Sargent's going to be on the grid next year at Williams. And from my understanding, it is a done deal. And we're just waiting for it to be announced because I think there's a few little things to end with the contracts in F2. I don't think it'll be announced till after Abu Dhabi, which is per, I think, FIA guidelines for Junior Series.
Well, of course, he does have to maintain a certain spot in the F2 standings when we get to Abu Dhabi. I think it's very unlikely. It'll probably take a perfect storm of events for him to fall. I think there's 3 drivers actually level on 126 points, if I recall correctly. Logan has 135. So I think it's possible 1 or 2 of them might leapfrog him. But for all 3 and then 1 more to leapfrog him as well, I think is incredibly unlikely. So it looks very certain that he'll have enough super license points in order to move up. But we'll just wait for that to be a done deal. Couple comments on that note, and then we'll get into BTCC. Amber saying, did F1 or the FIA stop Herta from coming to F1? I guess it's kind of one and the same there. You need the super license, and we've had this discussion on the show. I don't really want to revisit it too much, but long story short, IndyCar is not awarded enough super license points based on Herta's results in the IndyCar Series Championship to grant him that super license. AlphaTauri and Red Bull applied for an exemption for Herta. The exemption was denied, and so Herta will be back with Andretti Autosport in the IndyCar Series for the foreseeable future. Day in the Life seems to disagree with you, Josh. He's saying I wouldn't call it the correct way. I don't know if he's referring to Herta maybe being hopefully able to have that opportunity in the future as well and being denied that opportunity, or
I certainly agree that Herta deserves a spot in F1. I absolutely agree with that. He's a fantastic driver, and he's won several Grand Prix level races as well in IndyCar. But I'm saying arguably it's the correct way to do it. It was going through F3, F2, F1. That's what the FIA have put in as the correct progression through as well. And I that's all I can take it as well. I would have been angry with the fact is if that somebody had chosen Herta over Sargent, because that's if say Williams chose Herta over Sargent, to me that's an insult, because that's saying that for a driver to come over from the States, make a life change, go through the Junior Series and be their development driver, not get a seat in F1 at the end of it, that's the insult. And I can see both sides of it very clearly as well. But I do agree that Herta should be in F1. I think he should have got the AlphaTauri seat earlier on in the season. But I think Logan Sargent being in Williams is something that's been on the cards for a very long time. It's something that I've been passionate about all season long, and I'm glad that he's gone the correct way through the series and is finally getting the rewards as well. And it might prove to some people that that's the way to do it, get the super license point on the series. Yes, IndyCar should have more super license points, but at the moment they don't. Sargent's done it the correct way, got the points, proved his talent, let his name be known across all forms of racing, and he's going to get the rewards next season in F1. So yeah, I'm very happy. And America has a driver who is a very quick driver. He's not going to be another Scott Speed or Alexander Rossi in F1 days. He is a very, very fast driver. He is a very, very competitive driver. And just as Albon's been fighting for the top 10 in the Williams, Sargent will do exactly the same as well next season. So I'm very, very hopeful this is going to be a good time for Williams to get more points on the board, because let's face it, anyone's better than Latifi as well at the moment. I'm not into driver bashing that much, but Latifi has massively underperformed this season. Massively. But yeah.
Well, he did score points yesterday though, Josh, so let's give him credit.
He did. I said it as well, gave him credit, but he did score points and he was very impressive as well. But I don't know if that's because he found a shortcut on the track to leapfrog half the field.
Well, and now he's level with De Vries on points, but he has the tiebreaker because he has a second race after the 9th place finish. Of course, De Vries only has done the one race so far this year. So He
Yeah,
is back up to 20th in
Curtis.
the 20 driver championship. So good for him.
Well done, Nicholas. Yeah, and it's nice actually that the two reserve drivers, De Vries and Hulkenberg, are 21st and 22nd. It's just nice for my little OCD brain to have that in order.
All right. Well, Josh, before we let you go, I know you have some updates on British Touring Car Championship. So with a lighter week this week, we'll give you the chance to go through those right now.
Lovely. Well, it was the last weekend of the season for the QuickFit British Touring Car Championship as well, and we had a four-way fight for the title going into the last weekend. Now, it's around 28, 29, 30, the the three races across the day. And it was between, coming into it, Ash Sutton led the title with Tom Ingram second, and third place on the board for Jake Hill with Colin Turkington fourth. Now, Turkington was way outside the points as well, and after a bad qualifying, he was eliminated in the second round of the championship as well, meaning that going into the last round, it was between Jake Hill, Ash Sutton, and Tom Ingram as well. Now, Tom Ingram, or Tingram, as he's known affectionately as well, qualified on pole position and won round 28 of the season. So in the first race of the day, Ingram won. He got bonus points for pole, he got bonus points for leading a lap, and for winning the race. So he got 24 points. That put him ahead in the title to Jake Hill. He finished third, so that put him second in the title. Ash Sutton finished fourth as well after an incredible battle with him as well, but that put him third in the title. And as you can see, down the board, Colin Turkington was in fifth position as well. He just clung on at the end of round 28 as well. Now, if we go to round 29, now that is the same starting grid as the results of the first race. So Tom Ingram again started on pole position, and guess what? Tom Ingram won the race as well. In fact, it was pretty much identical results inside the top five from race one. It was pretty much that type of thing. So Tom Ingram won. He got 22 points for his efforts as well. That put him in the lead of the title by 12 points as well to Jake Hill in second, and Ash Sutton fell back to third. With Colin Turkington staying in fifth, that eliminated him from championship contention completely. So going to the last round of the day, round 30, it was a reverse grid draw, and that put number 10 on pole position as well. So that was, number 13. So Dan Lloyd took pole position for the final race of the day. Brilliant battle with Josh Cook, and he took the victory as well. So if we take a look at rounds 30 results, because it's quite important to see where Tom Ingram finished with this reverse grid. Dan Lloyd took the victory, Josh Cook second. Now, Ash Sutton finished in fourth position, and Jake Hill in seventh. Now, Hill and Sutton were battling together throughout the race. They made a little bit of contact. Sutton stayed to fourth, Hill dropped down to seventh, and Ingram stayed in fifth position. Ingram won the title by 12 points as well. For the first time after 5 years of trying as well, Tom Ingram is the 2022 QuickFit British Touring Car Champion as well. And it couldn't have happened to a more nicer guy. Number 80 becomes number 1 as well. And that wraps up the QuickFit British Touring Car Championship for this season as well. And hopefully next year we'll have these little reports on the Encore show when we get going as well. But that was the end of the touring cars. And as I saw Josh's comment, Josh was trackside and he said it was great. And I'm going to miss it. I always love the touring cars. And we're in only 5 weeks to go until the end of the season now. And I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves after. Probably we're going to have to take a holiday, Ben. And what was one of those? I haven't had one of those.
Yeah, well, no promises, of course, but we are looking to try to expand our coverage even more for 2023 and British Touring Car Championship. Certainly one of those series we want to keep an eye on and report on a little bit more regularly, whether it's on the Encore show or wherever else we have a chance to do that. A couple of comments and questions coming into the chat here. Dan Life asked which brand's hatch layout was used.
It was the full Grand Prix circuit. We raced on the Indy layout, which is the short track, back in April. So this grand finale was on the proper Grand Prix circuit as well, which held the British Grand Prix for Formula One several times in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
And Josh wants to double check that was Tingram's first ever GP win, right?
Yeah.
Won on Indy before, but not GP though.
Yeah, for Tom Ingram or Tingram as well. He's won on the Brands Hatch Indy layout. In fact, he won a season opener, I think, a couple of years back as well on the Indy version of the circuit, but he's never managed to win on the GP layout. He did that today with 2 victories, or today. See, my body clock's all over. He did that yesterday and clinched the title as well. So yeah, it was his first ever win on the Grand Prix layout. But a remarkable championship as well, Ben. And honestly, if you want wheel-to-wheel Dodgem style racing, that's fun, quick as well, 30 minutes of racing as well across 3 races of the day. Touring cars is the way to go because it's quicker than NASCAR and it's just as dramatic as NASCAR as well, and it's just fantastic stuff.
And no playoffs, right? Am I
No
correct?
playoffs. Yeah,
No
playoffs.
Sign me up.
Yeah, biggest points at the end of the year wins. Simple as 30 races, 10 weekends, 8 different tracks. Bang. There you go. It's fun.
Sounds great. Well, Josh, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give your one shining moment. So what would that be?
One shining moment. Blimey, this is sad. One shining moment for the entire weekend. I think it's going to be Tingram. It's going to be the touring cars. Great weekend. Everything else was just a mess. To be fair, even NASCAR, I understand, ended in a mess as well. So yeah, it's going to be the touring cars and the atmosphere we had there that day. And yeah, I love that finale.
I was right there with you. I had a hard time coming up with one shining moment myself. Just because I was thinking NASCAR and F1 and all the chaos that we saw, it was kind of hard to come up with something. But one final question from Amber. Can we see the British Touring Car Championship here in America?
I think it's not available actually in America at the moment, but I understand it might be actually coming to Fox Sports next year. I understand in a highlights package as well. That they're going to put all 3 races together. So I understand that it could be coming to Fox next year, from what I was told. But at the moment, it's not live in America, I don't think. But I'll do my research, and if I find anything, I'll let you know here. And I'll change my one shining moment, Ben. My one shining moment is when my head hit that pillow just behind me here as well, after having such a bad day of being up at 3 a.m., 5-hour race, and then not getting to bed until 9 o'clock last night, and then sleeping for about 12 hours. I needed it, and I'm going to need it again soon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll try to get a better answer on that. Of course, I'm in America, but I don't know the series. Josh, you know the series, but you're not in America, so we're trying to put both pieces together here and see.
We need Adam
on that, but
that's it. Adam, that's what we need.
Yes. And then Amber coming in here and saying if Fox does it, hopefully it would be better having truck coverage. I would hope if they're just putting a highlights package together,
it'd be ITV.
Yeah.
Yes, it'll be ITV. So it'll be Steve Ryder, David Addison, Tim Harvey, and Louise Goodman, of course. So it's proper good commentators.
Sounds good. Well, Josh, we are going to bring Casey back in here, cover some ARCA racing.
Hey, hold on.
Go ahead, Casey.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I got this to Josh. I was actually reading this. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you while you were saying
No worries.
But I wanted to mention this to you because we forgot to mention this a few weeks ago. But the 3 drivers from the Team USA scholarship, of course, are currently in England right now. William Ferguson from California, Elliot Budzinski from Michigan, and Thomas Strange from Ohio. If I messed up those names, I'm sorry. But they're going to actually be competing in the Formula Ford Festival, which is just in October 22nd and 23rd. And then they'll be at the Walter Hayes Trophy, competing for the Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone on November 5th and 6th. So, yeah, should be some fun stuff there. If you didn't know, this scholarship has been given every single year for now. This is, I think, the 32nd year that they've done this. Lots of drivers have won this scholarship, including guys like Spencer Pigot, Joseph Newgarden. I believe Jerry Nadeau won it one time. Brian, and here's an interesting one. Ben's favorite driver, AJ Allmendinger, also was a winner of this scholarship as well. So, yeah.
My childhood favorite driver. Of course, I try to remain objective now that I'm producing the show here. Yeah. Yes. But it looks like we actually, I believe, may have lost Josh here. Josh, I don't know if you can hear us. We almost made it through your entire segment without a problem here, but we are going to let you go. And again, thanks as always for your coverage here. I was going to mention it's probably a good thing you're frozen and can't hear us because Grant Empfinger was in the ARCA race, so I know you would be loving that. But and now he's gone completely. But hopefully hopefully Josh got all of that, and we'll see if he comes back here. I'll put him back on screen so we can do a proper farewell here. But
yeah, I should mention that to Josh because I wanted to mention that a few weeks ago, and never got the chance to. So sorry if I interrupted there a little bit.
No problem. No, I'm glad you brought that up. All right. Well, it looks like Josh still isn't back, so I'm just going to roll into the ARCA coverage. And, we'll go from there. We got a lot to talk about. 2 different championships that we were tracking. Sammy Smith, one up. Hold on. We've got we'll bring Josh back in here for just a second. Josh, I don't know how much of that you caught there. Are you back?
My internet is died, and I've put my data on, so I don't think I've got too long. But the internet just went off, and it's probably because it's 1 a.m. I mean, Virgin Media have been shocking. This is what caused me to lose the first 3 laps of the F1 race as well. But do continue. I heard about the Formula Ford Festival.
They're also going to be competing for the at the Walter Hayes Trophy at Silverstone in November 5th and 6th.
Oh.
So, yeah.
We need to go down to these.
Yeah, lots. Yeah, you might have to have that. Lots of drivers, of course, have won this. This is Jeremy Shaw, of course, who commentates for IMSA Radio. Also has done this scholarship.
Love that guy.
For the last, this is I think 32nd year that he's done this. So just gives giving American drivers tons of opportunities. Drivers who are now competing in IMSA, IndyCar, and in NASCAR as well. So fun stuff. I felt like I should mention this to you, and I felt like
that sounds fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I love the America-UK connections that we can get as well, and it's just racing such a family as well. And I love connecting the family across the world as well. It's amazing. I mean, I'd love it, absolutely love it, if we could get something for the Bathurst races that we do. Unbelievable.
Sure.
I know Matt White commentates on them, but we need to get down Bathurst as well. Bathurst, Daytona, Silverstone, everything. The Indianapolis, the big races, we need to be there as well. It's just unbelievable stuff.
I know we're working on that every single day. So that's going to be good there. And I think we're about to lose Josh again. So.
Yeah, I'm dying. So I'm going to say good night to everybody and have a great rest of the show.
Thank you very much, Josh. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Boy, well, like I said. Go ahead, Casey.
Boy, don't you love internet?
Yeah. Well, hey, it's a live show. You know, we're doing the best for what we can here. But
all right.
Sometimes no problem. All right. Well, like I said, we had 2 ARCA championships to keep track of this weekend, and Sammy Smith took the race win at Toledo in the season finale, which in turn gave his number 18 Kyle Busch Motorsports entry the Owners' Championship ahead of the Venturini Motorsports number 20 car driven this weekend by Jesse Love. Now, Love looked set to win the race and the owner's title, but got caught up in a battle with Truck Series regular Grant Enfinger with just a few laps to go, which allowed Smith to close in. Smith eventually put the bumper to Love, taking him and Enfinger 3 wide to make a pass for the lead and eventually the win, swinging the owner's title back in KBM's favor. Now, Love was very unhappy following the race, parking his car alongside Smith as he did his celebratory burnout, then approaching the driver's side of a number 18 car before he was forcibly removed from the scene. Here's what Sammy Smith had to say to our own Casey Campbell following his race win and clinching the owner's title.
Yeah, it was a hard-fought day. Never gave up. We struggled all day. We were not the best car. I think we were pretty even on the long run, and they were better on the short run. But just kept fighting, and at the end of the day, we were able to make a good move there. I don't think it was dirty by any means. I think he just obviously if I lost a race like that too, I'd probably be a little bit butthurt. But at the end of the day, we got the win and the Owners' Championship, so it was a good day.
What does it mean to get the Owners' Championship for KBM as well? Their first Owners' Championship.
Yeah, it's cool. We I think we were like 70 points back, 60 or 70 points back after the 6th race. We just, as a team, we didn't put everything we needed together, and we fought hard to get all those points back, and it means a lot from where we came to here we are now.
Well, one of KBM's drivers, Drew Dollar, reignited some beef that he had earlier this season with Billy Venturini. How's the face feeling, champ? Oh, wait. And then tagging Billy in this tweet, I guess referencing one of the post-race fights. Maybe Casey can give us some more context on that. Billy Venturini simply responded by blocking his former driver, Drew Dollar, on Twitter. Casey, Was Sammy Smith's move on Jesse Love fair, given what was at stake? And I guess we'll throw this in here as well. What's your reaction to Drew Dollar's tweets?
Wow. As I told you before, there was that was probably from the I don't know. I know there was a fight in the as the fans were getting over the crossover gate or something. There was like 5 fights that day. I don't even know. I can't even keep track of who's mad. But the thing is, if you thought Sammy Smith and Jesse Love got into it, what side that you went on, that's up to you to decide. If you like, the thing is, what would you do to win a race? What would you do to win a championship? You do anything. So there you go. We'll have to see there. Yeah. I mean, was there nothing wrong? You decide. I don't know. I mean, it's at the end of the day, that's what short track racing is. You know, if you're not going to move out of the way, you're going to get moved out of the way. Maybe it wasn't the best move. Maybe both drivers kind of acted the way that they shouldn't have. But it was interesting to see how both drivers handled it. I mean, we talked to Sammy Smith right at like way after everything happened. That was actually my last interview of the day. But when we talked to Jesse Love, that was as he just he talked to TV, talked to all the reporters. As he was heading back to the garage, I caught him, and I think we're gonna play that now, maybe.
Well, like you said, Casey, there's 2 sides to every story. We'll play Jesse Love's here in a second. I want to go through some comments first. Holy Toledo and Royal Rumber says Amber in the chat. And A Day in My Life looked like a fair bump and run, but I can see why Love had no love for Smith. And we will give you Jesse Love's side of the story right now.
We were really good in the short run. We lost a little bit on the long run. Some of the lap traffic was a little bit of a hindrance to our success. Allowed him to close up, and I think that Grant gave me a little bit more of a shove than I would have wanted in the center of 3 and 4, and I was able to, diamond it off and come off and get the inside back, and then we went racing a little bit for sure, and then the 18 got to us and obviously just cleaned us out. So I always stick up for my team and for myself, and it was definitely frustrating to kind of honestly get robbed like that in a disrespectful way. So frustrating for sure.
And we have another tweet from Drew Dollar. He wasn't done, although I guess this came before his tweets about Billy Venturini, but he referenced the fight between Jesse Love and Sammy Smith. And you see Love being forcibly removed from the scene, as we mentioned. So, Casey, did Jesse Love cross a line in showing his frustration post-race?
Look, he's going to stand up for his team. He's going to stand up for himself. Did he cross a line? I mean, he might have. But the thing is, it's like we've seen it, though, before. Sometimes all of us, and this is just all of us in real life, you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes all your emotions will get to you. Sometimes we all do things we're not proud of. We all do things that we're going to regret at the end of the day. I mean, it's what we wanted to see, right? Everybody, I think a lot of people wanted to see that. So, yeah, I guess I think he did and everything right. I mean, if you caught the beginning of the interview, as we were walking past, I think it was Mark McFarland he passed. I think he said, no offense, nothing against you or something. So, I've known Jesse for a long time. He didn't have to talk to anybody, but he talked to every reporter that asked him to. I've known Jesse for a long time, like I just said. One of the best young men I've ever covered. It's did he cross the line? He might have, but that's up to you to decide.
No doubt. And we have a follow-up in the chat from our own Kobe Lambeth, of course, asking about Drew Dollar, who contributed to that Owners Championship for Kyle Busch Motorsports this year.
Yep.
Is Drew Dollar retired from racing or just focusing on his college studies at Georgia for now? Of course, it's been a little while since we saw Drew in the car.
I think so. I think he's focusing on college right now. As you may have known, Trevor Bain stepped in the 18 at Talladega. That was a race that Drew Dollar was supposed to run. But, yeah, I think maybe I have heard that maybe he is focusing on college, because remember, I mean, racing is just a chance. It's not a guarantee. A college degree is a guarantee. You have to get it, but we'll have to see how it is. I don't know what'll happen when we'll see him next, but time will tell.
Yeah, I guess I would just say my biggest problem with what Jesse Love did was kind of interrupting the post-race burnout. And anytime, the cars get involved, that's when I start to, raise a red flag, because, especially if drivers have unbuckled and everything, I think that can sometimes get a little bit more dangerous than people realize. And also interrupting the celebration. I think, it's one thing when, it's a post-race fight and both cars are on pit road and everybody's, kind of calmed down. And, the winner's off celebrating by himself. I think that's one thing. But, to interrupt post-race celebration like that for a championship and a race win, not particularly a fan of that. But at the same time, I can certainly understand why he was frustrated.
I think both drivers are looking back today and saying, did I really do that? But at the end of the day, it's short track racing. I mean, everyone's going after a win. What would you do for a championship? I mean, there were championships on the line. People are going to get angry if they come up short. If they feel like they've been done wrong, they're going to stand up for themselves. They don't care how they do it. It is racing at the end of the day. I mean, everybody wants to win. That's why we go to the track that's why these guys go to the track every week. So, I mean, yeah, that's something you might not want to do, but it happened and you can't take it back now.
Well, I think that's a fair question to ask. Adam coming in here in chat and saying Casey had some incredible interviews at Toledo. We have one more to play for you. We will have that here in a second. And of course, full interviews and even more drivers and ARCA personnel conversations are available on Casey's YouTube channel. Amber asks, is there an Applebee's in Toledo, Casey? I think that's a reference to Mike Harmon tweet from a couple of years ago.
No, there is not an Applebee. There is a Waffle House. I did go to a Waffle House there. That was pretty cool. So, yeah, also there was a ton of I also got to thank ARCA as well. They put on, that was probably one of the best. That was the best race of the weekend. I think I said it yesterday during the wrap-up show, but it was just an incredible championship. 24 cars there. There were a lot of events leading up to it. Ben, you should have been, and actually, you should have been there at Southview High School. You should have seen those kids. Greg Van Elst's car was there. Christian Rose was also there too. A lot of kids from the metal fabrication classes. A lot of kids want to get into power sports as well, like not just NASCAR, but IndyCar, ARCA, NHRA, anything that goes fast. It interests a lot of kids, and it's honestly it's something that I think motorsports should do a lot more of. I know NASCAR did something similar at Michigan when Mason Massey and Josh Williams got to hang out with some elementary kids from kids within the track area, I think around Lenawee County, which is where Michigan International Speedway is located. But it's something I think NASCAR needs to do a lot more of, and get involved with kids. Obviously, it just get kids excited about motorsports. So from a lot of comments that I got, not a lot of people knew what NASCAR was, or what ARCA was, or really ARCA was founded in Toledo. We also got to go to downtown Toledo, got to meet the mayor, a full interview with him on my YouTube channel as well. And you never know who you might run into at one of these races. I don't know if you follow the Olympics there, Ben, but if you watch my YouTube,
Gatlin.
Yeah, Justin Gatlin. That was really cool to. It was cool to meet him. I didn't expect to see him at the racetrack. He was a guest of Gamebridge, which is a sponsor for Rev Racing, and Nick Sanchez and Raja Caruth. We'll get to Nick Sanchez in a minute, but yeah, that was cool interviewing him. So that interview was up as well, and yeah, we also talked with we also talked with a lot of people at Toledo as well. Matthew Gould, who we'll talk to later on in the week, and talked to Raja Caruth as well. Daniel Dye we talked to before. We'll get to him in a minute, or right now, I think. Tons of interviews. They're all on my YouTube channel. I uploaded them all. Go check them out. Go subscribe too.
Well, let's shift gears from the Owners' Championship to the Drivers' Championship and talk about Nick Sanchez, who prevailed over Daniel Dye in what ended up being a much less dramatic championship battle. Dye's hopes initially took a hit when he lost ground on a restart, and while he originally fought his way back, his title hopes unraveled entirely shortly after the restart following the second race break as he suffered a mechanical issue. Now, Dye did return to the race, albeit over 30 laps down, which essentially wrapped up the title from Sanchez. Here's Casey's interview with the 2022 ARCA champion.
How about that? You're a champion.
No, it's nice. Nerve-wracking day. I think in the race, how it's going to play out, but I'm glad we didn't have to resort to, wait until the last lap or something like that. So it's nice. It's over.
What are you feeling right now?
I don't want to say closure, but now I can put my full focus on Xfinity and Vegas and home. So that's already where my mind's at. So I'm glad to, close this out for myself, Max Siegel, Rev Racing, Gainbridge, Chevrolet, and just continue, these 2 races for me are going to be super, super important. So now I can put everything I have into those 2.
And of course, the full interview is on Casey's YouTube channel. Casey, how big of a deal is this for Nick Sanchez and Rev Racing? And on the flip side, how disappointing is it for Daniel Dye and GMS to have their season end on a mechanical failure?
This is a big moment for Nick Sanchez. Obviously, he did talk with the rest of the media today on a Zoom call because he is the champion. I know that we'll get to some news in a minute. He may have hinted at where he might go for 2023. Many people say that he could be heading to a Chevrolet truck team. Obviously, not going to get into that, but yeah, it's good. I think it's satisfying for him to put all the work he has been through this season. This is of course Rev Racing's first championship since 2012. Of course, when Kyle Larson won in ARCA East. So this is a big time moment for them. It's been a big year for Rev Racing. Of course, as I mentioned, Gainbridge coming on board. It's just been a solid year for Nick and for everybody. And of course, Nick was our exclusive driver last year. We talked to Nick before every single race last year. That was of course put together by Rev Racing. And it's a huge deal for Nick. And then for Daniel, it's just bad luck. He has had a lot of it. Of course, you look back at some races where he could have won. Talladega, Berlin was probably the biggest one. And he's just – the 43 team just had some terrible, terrible luck so far this year. And I thought he was going to – I know he was starting – he was having some engine issues. If you remember, if you watched the race, remember he had to start from the back. I think at one point during the race, and then worked his way back up, and then I think he had some issues throughout the race, and then it was we saw him go on pit road, literally ran across the other because I was in the infield, and there's no crossover gate at Toledo like a lot of these short tracks, so you just literally ran into the infield, but down by pit road, and then that's when his PR person told me it was a ball joint, I think, broke. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And they're just devastating. I could see him just pounding his steering wheel in the car. You just feel so bad for him. It was just heartbreaking for Daniel. I know he's been through a lot in the last few weeks. Of course, obviously with the hurricane. But obviously, and also they didn't get any damage. I talked to his dad down there, and they didn't really get that much, so thank goodness for that. I know New Smyrna was not so lucky with the stuff that they got, but but just a tough break for Daniel Dye. Not sure what he's going to do next year, we'll go from there.
A follow-up question in regards to the ARCA finale from Kobe. Should Toledo become the permanent season finale for ARCA, or would you rather see them move it around from track to track?
Oh my God. This championship belongs in Toledo. I love this racetrack. There's a reason why I call this track the action track. Yes, we need to go to Holy Toledo for ARCA. Yes, it is the birthplace of ARCA. The tagline is, and this is what Ron Drager said to me during an interview, and I'll get to that in a minute too. We start the season at Daytona. the birthplace of NASCAR. And then we end it in the birthplace of ARCA in Toledo, Ohio. Just being down there, just the vibe that I got. I know that Toledo, Ohio gets a bad rap from a lot of people. If you go watch the interview that we did with Charlie Krall at the Toledo Hotel, I mean, he said it best. He's lived in Toledo all his life. This is a city that's coming back. I mean, they make glass. A lot of big companies are there. Fifth Third Bank, Marco's Pizza, which is the fastest growing pizza chain in America, based in Toledo, Ohio. Just a lot of fun stuff going on down there. A lot of big sporting events are down there, and this is the reception that we've gotten we got from Toledo was absolutely amazing. And I just cannot thank ARCA enough for giving me the hospitality for the weekend and everybody there. And I also cannot thank everybody here at Grid Network for allowing me to come and go and cover that. It was pretty awesome. So thanks.
Absolutely. One final follow-up here in the chat. I believe this is in reference to Nick Sanchez and that potential Truck Series team. Of course, Kyle Busch Motorsports moving to Chevy alongside Kyle Busch's move from Toyota to Chevy in the Cup Series. Could that be the team that Nick Sanchez ends up driving for in the Truck Series next year?
I don't think well, and obviously I can't get too much into that, but there's still a lot of moving pieces surrounding what Kyle Busch Motorsports could look like. I mean, there could be a couple options where that could be. I don't think it's GMS. I don't think it's Nice. It could be KBM. KBM could be known as something else. There's even talk that, possibly Spire Motorsports could go full time again. So, like I said, the lot of moving pieces are kind of getting put together in the Truck Series. So, obviously, stay tuned on that. Now, I do want to mention one thing, if I can. Ron Drager, I got a chance to talk with him this weekend surrounding the schedule for 2023. I did ask him about that this weekend, and you can watch the Ron Drager interview on my YouTube channel as well. Gave a lot of great answers to that. Schedule's going to look very similar. There could be one track change next year as well. I'm not sure what that track is. I've heard some rumblings. I just don't want to say them on here. ARCA East and ARCA West could look very similar. I'm not sure what ARCA East is going to look like. There could be another combo race. Obviously, I'm not sure what New Smyrna is going to look like. Obviously, as I mentioned, they got hit pretty hard with the hurricane. So we'll have to see how that goes. The West schedule is going to look very similar. 2 Phoenix races, 2 Irwindale races. Sonoma's going to be back. Just a lot of fun stuff. Portland will be back as well. So I know Joe and maybe you, for that matter, are pretty excited about that. Yeah. But yeah, it's gonna look very similar. Also, in terms of car counts, we're up 9% from last year to this. ARCA's up 9% on car counts from last year to this year. That's a big gain for that. Last year, Ben, there were 14 cars at the Toledo race, and this year there were 24. So that's a major, major improvement. We're expecting around 26 to 28 cars for the Vegas Bull Ring this weekend, and then about in the mid-30s for Phoenix. So pretty good. It's going to be a pretty good ending for the ARCA Menards Series to cap off 2022. And we're going to cover it right here on Grid Network.
Yes, well, I'm glad you brought up Vegas because we've got Sarah and Bridget Burgess finally making their having their combo race, the first mother and daughter duo to compete against one another.
Very exciting. I know that obviously I've talked to Sarah many times about that. I'm actually going to try to reach out for an interview. Taylor Gray will also be there as well. Actually, DGR is going to run 2 cars. Of course, who knows what's going to happen with the Sunrise team. I know there's been some rumors floating around. I've been told that that team's going to exist in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not owned by Bob Brancotti. So obviously some more news on that as time goes on. And who knows, maybe BMR will get it done. So should be exciting this weekend at the Vegas Bull Ring. Got some friends out there that are going to be covering it. And of course, we'll talk about it right here next Monday night here on Grid.
Sure. And I just want to say, schedule pending. Can't confirm it yet with my work schedule, but I'm hoping to join Joe and Daniel on the Women in Motorsports program Friday morning to preview the West Race of the Bull Ring, because we don't just have the Burgess family. We've got Katie Henninger making her West Series debut. You might recognize her for a race just a couple within the last several weeks here. Dale Jr. was in. So great things happening in the West Series on that front as well.
Yeah, I know Katie Henninger has gotten a lot of traction. Of course, she's from Michigan. I know that Lauren Renier's been working with her as well. She's pretty good. So it'll be exciting to see. Yes.
I'm just going to leave the comment here, and we'll bring Brandon back in and move on to Xfinity. How's that? But I think this is a good place to end the ARCA coverage for tonight.
And I just got
day in my life for that comment.
And I just want to thank you guys as well. This has been fun covering ARCA this season. Can't wait to do some more stuff in 2023. Just a fun weekend. Make my Grid Network debut at one of my favorite racetracks in Toledo. Can't thank you guys enough, and thanks to all of you for all your support. It's really, really appreciated.
We appreciate you, Casey, and looking forward to even more coverage next year. So we'll get on that. Now we'll get to the Xfinity Series, and AJ Allmendinger did it once again. His second race win in a row, 5th of the season, and 4th in a row at the Charlotte ROVAL. Despite all of this, he's still only second in points following the reset after the round of 12. Noah Gragson goes to Las Vegas with a 12-point advantage based on each driver's current playoff point total. Allmendinger also finished 4th in yesterday's Cup race. Earlier this week, it was, of course, confirmed he will return to Kaulig Racing, but will move to the Cup Series full-time in 2023. He has not run a full Cup schedule since 2018 with JTG Doherty. Brandon Coughlin joins us once again. Brandon, thank you so much. I know it's been over an hour.
Cage, you let me out. I've been stuck in here.
You're an absolute trooper, man. I know it's been there's been a lot to talk about, so we appreciate you sticking around here. But good to see you, man. I'll start with you. Allmendinger seemed to back up the news very well, but did his performance this weekend further solidify that Kaulig Racing is making a good decision to bring him back to the Cup Series?
Yeah, no, this is actually my punishment for not doing homework on ARCA. But anyway, yeah. What the question one more time is
bringing Allmendinger back. He backed it up with the news this week. Does this solidify that Kaulig's making a good decision to bring him back?
For sure. AJ Allmendinger, he's 40 years old, but he's in the second prime of his life. And it's been really exciting to see him keep his kingship at the Charlotte ROVAL, which the Xfinity Series race seemed to be the better of the two in the end of things. But yeah, AJ Allmendinger able to get past Ty Gibbs there in that last overtime restart. And what's my favorite part of that course is where they go past that little area that says America's Home for Racing. You can really just take it quickly through that corner right there. And that's where he was able to make the move, and it stuck. And of course, AJ Allmendinger just has the pace on road courses in a stock car. And it's going to be nice to see him go back full time in the Cup Series next year. But it's also sad because you see how good he does in an Xfinity Camaro. And I think Kaulig might be missing him come next year, despite all the ones he's going to do double, we think, if not Carson Hocevar. Maybe.
Well, we'll see. Of course, the Xfinity lineup with that third car, I believe, is actually Chandler Smith. That got confirmed, right? So you're talking about the fourth car, right? The 14 that might run part time. Justin Haley.
Yeah, I think he's talking about that.
Right. Yeah. Of course, we got the news. Landon Castle, Daniel Hemrick will be back. Chandler Smith in the 16, and then but the 14 car. I'm glad you brought that up, Brandon. We saw that, of course, at Daytona. I've got a feeling we might see that on the road courses next year.
We might.
As well. And Carson Hocevar's plans still to be confirmed as well. Casey, do you want to follow up there on Allmendinger?
Yeah. I mean, he's AJ Allmendinger. I mean, he's the man. It's I mean, he's a stud when it comes to these road courses. And I mean, I think we can. I'm gonna steal something from Jeff Gluck. I'm gonna pencil him in to my playoff bracket. I know those are words that I don't think we like to use on this show, but yeah, I'm gonna pencil him in. I think he's gonna win a lot of races at Kaulig. I think I think the men and women at Kaulig are going to surprise a lot of people next season. And this is a different AJ Allmendinger than we last saw him in Cup in 2018. Because I remember when he was in Cup, it was just front. It was just at a point where it was just not good. And then it's just he seems more confident. Matt Kaulig and Chris Rice probably have treated him to 15, 20 rounds of golf or something to keep it fun or something like that. He's got to be having fun or he does not want to do this. It's kind of the deal that they have. But and who knows what's going to happen next year? I mean, he could go and play more golf or something. I don't know. After he's done in 23, but I think you're going to see a very different AJ Allmendinger in the Cup Series next year. And I think you're going to see I think Chandler Smith's going to do really well at Kaulig in the Xfinity Series. What a pickup. We talk about this, another driver that's leaving the Toyota camp, going over to the Bowtie Brigade. It's like Chevrolet just keeps rolling out the punches, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And a comment from our own Joe San Diego. Good to see you, Joe. I believe Allmendinger is ever more prepared for the Cup Series full time. I will echo both of your statements as well, Casey. I think this is a very different situation. I do still have a little bit of reservation because, I think it's going to take a little bit of time to continue to build that Kaulig Cup program. But even still, I think the culture at Kaulig is much better for AJ than it was over at JTG those last couple of years. So we'll see how they do next season. Chrome Diesel saying shout out to the first ever Russian native driver, Danny Kvyat, who got to compete in the Xfinity Series, started 24th, finished 15th. Too bad his Cup ride doesn't suit him well with finishes outside the top 30. Yeah, very unfortunate to see. I think he was the first car out of the race again this weekend, if I'm not mistaken as well. So, I would like to see him in a little bit better equipment, maybe in a chartered entry, as a road course ringer there, or more Xfinity Series starts. I'm glad that NASCAR has given him this opportunity to race because, of course, like we talked about earlier in the season, the FIA have currently put a ban on Russian racing drivers competing. So shout out to NASCAR for allowing Daniel Kvyat to continue to compete. And it looks like a day in my life was watching the wrap-up show yesterday. Kobe said Grid Network is rated G for Grid Network. I came back and said the Encore show is rated E for everyone, but then I thought maybe E10 would be a better rating because we do get a little sassy sometimes here compared to the wrap-up shows with the discussion of the Encore program.
There's a little more wiggle room here.
There is. There absolutely is.
I can't wait for Philly's Braves tomorrow with you two.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we had a discussion on Twitter today about playing Wheel of Fortune. Somebody it was Casey that brought it up that it should be me, Ben, and Josh Birch all playing Wheel of Fortune. There's got to be a way we can set that up in the off season. If we could get like Kobe Lambeth or somebody to host Wheel of Fortune, like on a camera and like all motorsport topics, all motorsport puzzles.
I'm right here. I want to.
That would be great.
Yeah,
Casey hosted.
Casey, you can be Jim Thornton, the announcer.
We do it live on Encore in the off season.
Yeah,
it's just a proposal.
Okay.
Who knows? Hey, who knows what you're going to see in December and January here on Grid Network? We want to bring the roundtable back as well, so hopefully we can figure out some plans to do that. All right. Well, one final follow-up here in the Xfinity Series. We want to look ahead a little bit to the upcoming round of 8. The Big Three is a term that gets thrown around a lot these days. But as we enter the round of 8, if you had to pick a title winner today, Casey, I'll start with you. Are you going with Gragson, Allmendinger, and Gibbs with their multiple win seasons, or are you taking somebody in the rest of the field?
I don't know. I mean, who knows who could get hot? I mean, Justin Allgaier could go off and rattle off 3 wins. Who knows? Sam Mayer could pick up a win this weekend, and he could be in the championship. I don't know. Remember, it's this format. It's just, remember, it is the playoff format where anything can and usually will happen. Yesterday kind of proved that. So there is that, but I would think, I think you just got to go with Junior Motorsports right now. Either those 4 cars are going to, I think they're just really strong right now. I mean, there's, 6 bow ties and 2 Toyotas, no Fords. So I got to give it to Junior Motorsports because they still have all 4 of their cars in. So that's really impressive on their end. I mean, it just shows you how much Noah, Justin, Josh, and Sam have really been performing this year.
If you have to pick one today, it's got to be Ty Gibbs still. And just say that for a number of reasons, just the overall season as a whole. But I'm still, in the back of my head, I'm looking at the field, and I still like Josh Berry's chances. I'm not backing off from what I said a couple of weeks ago. I think Josh Berry has a really strong chance at Martinsville, and Phoenix is still his kind of wheelhouse as well, being from the late model community. And I think anything's possible there for the 8 car, and just really anybody from Junior Motorsports or Ty Gibbs.
By the way, who won at Las Vegas? Ty Gibbs. Earlier this year.
That's true.
But that's also spring Vegas. This is fall Vegas.
It's still Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We do have a pretty strong field beyond just the big three, if you will. Justin Allgaier, obviously a perennial championship contender with Junior Motorsports. Josh Berry, Brandon's dark horse, if you will. And then Austin Hill has had a very solid season. Brandon Jones or Sam Mayer could get hot at the right time. You just never know. Of course, one of them at least will be in the championship 4 alongside Gregson, Allmendinger, or Gibbs. Maybe Gregson, Allmendinger, or Gibbs has a bad round and they're not in the championship 4. It's all to play for here in the Xfinity Series. A couple of comments coming in. I think Adam is choosing Gregson for the championship, as is A Day in My Life. Day in My Life also says copyright will not allow it. I think if we just stuck to streaming the video game that I've got, it's an officially licensed video game. You know, we're not going full, like, passing it off as our own Wheel of Fortune show here. But again,
I did mention in the private chat we could call it Wheel of Possibilities and not get flagged.
That's another possibility as well. And Amber saying, I'll go with Allmendinger's championship season. Now, I do want to mention, I have reservations about the argument because I know the racing would be different. But if you look at Racing Reference's non-playoff standings right now, I think Allmendinger has a 95-point lead over Gregson. I mean, his top 10 runs, only having 3 races outside the top 10 all season, it's been remarkably consistent. And now he's got a couple of wins to go with it as well. But again, this is the day and age that we live in. It's all to play for when we get to Phoenix. Joe, as well, one final comment. Which one is more unpredictable, Cup or Xfinity? Casey, do you want to take that one first?
I think Cup's more unpredictable. You never know what could happen.
Mm-hmm. Cup is their own little 2000 soap opera or reality TV show, as we saw somewhere on Twitter. Forgot where.
I believe that was the David Land tweet talking about playoffs feeling like a mid-2000s reality show. A lot of people watched them, but I got bored.
I got bored of them.
I tuned out pretty fast.
I got bored in 2014 with the format then.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I still remember Kevin Harvick after he won the title, so obviously I think he may have been a little bit biased in the moment, but there's a quote, you can look it up. Kevin Harvick says, I think this championship format is one of the best things that NASCAR has done over the last several years. I wonder if he has maybe changed his tune a little bit here in 2020.
It only works when you're the champion.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Of course, Harvick's going to say he loves the championship format. He won under the championship format. So
remember, 2014 NASCAR was a little different than NASCAR today.
It really was.
Yeah, it was. Also, the truck format is just about as soap opera-y as well.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I will say this about the playoffs. Bare minimum, we have playoff points carrying over now. It's not a hard, straight-up reset like it was from 2014 to 16. So at least that increases the chances of the best drivers throughout the regular season making it deeper into the playoffs. But then again, Kevin Harvick had an unbelievable 2020 season and missed the championship 4 entirely. So it's still not a guarantee. But we've been talking for an hour and 15 minutes almost here. I don't want to take up too much time. You all know how I feel about the playoff system. I want to talk about something a little bit more positive, and that's our one shining moment. So, Brandon, I will start with you. What's your one shining moment from this motorsports weekend? There are many, as always, but I really like the news of Chandler Smith going to Kaulig and joining the bow tie camp. He'll always be my first actual driver I got to interview in 2019. So it's cool to watch his career make different strides as he keeps working up. And he's a dad this year, and it's just cool to see him go to Chevy and have a new start here with Kaulig Racing. That's my one shining moment for Chandler Smith.
I think you might know what mine is. Just being at a championship race in Toledo. The city of Toledo, Ohio is my one shining moment. They welcomed us with open arms. Southview High School, you also get a one shining moment as well. And And also, Nick Sanchez, you win the championship and you get one too. I'm just handing them out.
Well, Casey, I'll echo you. I was very pleased with the coverage you were able to bring us in the interview, so thank you again for that. Also, I'll give a shout-out to both the Owners' Championship 18 team for Kyle Busch Motorsports and also Nick Sanchez winning the Drivers' Championship. And I mentioned it as well on the wrap-up show yesterday, but AJ Allmendinger as well, continuing that stretch of perfect runs at the ROVAL. I think it's a stretch that's going to end next year unless NASCAR tweaks the rules again, because that's a playoff race. Allmendinger will be a full-time Cup driver. He won't be eligible to compete in that race next year, assuming NASCAR doesn't change the rules for eligibility when it comes to Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series. But an unbelievable run, and it could be a championship run for AJ Allmendinger as we close out the season. And Joe Samaniego as well. Nothing beats going to the track live for on-site coverage. I will totally back that up as well, getting that experience in Portland and Sonoma this year. And Casey, as you mentioned, that's great news on the West Series side of things, because I would certainly hope I'd be able to make the trip again next season. So we'll look forward to that as well. In the meantime, that is going to do it for tonight's Encore show. Let me get Joe's comment off here and roll into the ending here. So follow us on all of our social media platforms. There we go. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you catch the streams on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, anywhere you can find a social media platform. There's a chance Grid Network has a presence on it. So make sure you're following us everywhere you can. Also, make sure if you really like what you saw tonight, take a moment after the show to invest in Grid Network. Join our Patreon. Join Colin, Deshelle, Mark, and Robin, helping keep us on the air throughout 2022 and beyond. Your support is what allows things like Casey going to Toledo to happen. So we are so appreciative of that. And if you'd rather make a one-time donation, you can buy me a coffee as well. Finally, visit our sponsor, Public.com, the stock market social media home. The referral code GRIDNET will give you $5 to invest. Public.com allows you to connect with your friends, make new friends, and use tools to learn how to invest in the stock market. Now, on Wednesday, Kobe Lambeth will bring you Grid Tonight. As always, on Friday, Joe Samaniego hosts the Women in Motorsports program with Daniel Zeri. Stay tuned. I may be joining them for that as well. And as always, you can catch more Grid Live coverage throughout the weekend as we continue to close out this 2022 season. Brandon, Casey, any final thoughts before we sign off for this evening?
I just want to say, Casey, thank you for going to Toledo, and thank you, Grid Network, and all the Grid Network supporters for helping us be able to go to Toledo and also to Portland. That's kind of really the goal. We want to be able to go to on-track reporting for you and get the facts there on site. That's what it's all about. We thank you for it. And Casey, thank you for all the work you did.
Absolutely, guys. And I just can't thank you guys enough for the support. Allowing me to come on here and talk some ARCA. I want to give also a big shout out to Charlie Crawl, the ARCA PR director, one of the best people in the business, and just everybody, all the teams, drivers that I've came across personally. Just thanks for all the support, and it is greatly appreciated as always. And thank you too as well. And thanks to Josh, who's probably sleeping right now. Just love doing it. Just love doing this. There's nothing like it.
Thank you again for your on-track coverage, Casey. For Joshua Birch, Casey Campbell, and Brandon Crossland, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you as always for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your week.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, Public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on Public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDNET for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on Public.com.